All right. Well, good morning. I'm Jamie Pasquinelli, District Council Manager. ULI Pittsburgh welcomes you to our first Wake Up with WLI, and it is a great way to start your Friday morning. As always, thank you to our sponsors that make our programming possible. ULI's mission to provide leadership in the responsible use of land and in creating and sustaining thriving communities worldwide is even more critical as we respond to recent global events. As a charitable 501c3 nonprofit organization, we rely on our members and supporters to fulfill that mission. We thank you for your support and your continued engagement as we tackle these challenges together. Please make sure you have your mics muted throughout the program to prevent any distractions. Also, we will be engaging in a Q&A after the presentation. Please insert your question in the chat at any point during the presentation, and we will address your question during the Q&A. After the program, we will be put into breakout rooms for a smaller, informal 10 to 15 minute intimate discussion. I will then bring everybody back to wrap up. So now I will hand it over to Dusty Kirk, WLI Chair.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wake Up with WLI. We are lucky to have some wonderful speakers today, and we have our past chair, Lynn DiLorenzo, who is so active in our real estate community, and she is going to be moderating this panel and leading us through this wonderful snowy day in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to turn it over to Lynn now.
Okay, good morning, welcome, and happy holidays to everyone. Because we have a really tight program and two dynamic speakers today, I'm going to begin immediately by introducing Georgia Petropoulos. Georgia, most of you know Georgia. She's a seasoned executive in economic development leading the Oakland Business Improvement District, which is a dynamic organization of community leaders represented by the world-renowned universities, hospitals, small businesses, government property owners, and everyone that collectively invests in the Pittsburgh largest employment centers. She works in the heart of the city's university and medical district. The industry is currently fueling the region's transformation into a global innovation economy. And also we have Dr. Brittany McDonald. Brittany is a nonprofit executive from Pittsburgh with expertise in corporate social responsibility. She is the new executive for Uptown Pittsburgh Partnership. She has a passion for volunteerism and community outreach. We are so excited to have her today joining us to bring us up to date on what's happening in the Uptown area. So Jamie, if we could start, if you would display the aerial. We just have one aerial today. And we're showing you this. Is this large enough? We're really giving you a high level view just to talk a little bit about what we're going to be discussing today. So on this aerial, if you can blow it up a little bit, you will see that we're really showing the Uptown area as well as all the way up into the Oakland area, up in as far as CMU. And the yellow lines also do represent generally the new lines for the bus, the BRT. And we're not going to focus today on the BRT because that's almost a program unto itself. But this, you can see the importance of how the BRT, the bus rapid transit, will be connecting downtown through Uptown and then all the way into the university system. And it's also a new addition was going out into 3 branches: Greenfield, Highland Park, and the Mon Valley. So that will be coming to us construction sometime in 2022, but wanted you to see the importance and significance of how this is running through the Uptown area. Okay, Jamie, you can take the aerial down or you can leave it up, however you want to do that. I'll start out by saying that the top 3 employment centers in the Commonwealth are known as Philadelphia, #1, Pittsburgh, #2, and Oakland area is #3. From my professional opinion, I see it as Philadelphia #1, Oakland number 2, and Pittsburgh number 3. And I see it that way because the innovation that we're experiencing today in the city is coming out of the innovation district in Oakland. And it's coming out into the strip district that we've seen with the autonomous vehicles. We see it in the South Side area through all the life science companies that have migrated down to this area, as well as we're seeing the robotics entering into the Hazelwood Green development. So I really look at Pittsburgh being the beneficiary of all of the innovation coming out of the Oakland area. And I think what's important about that is where Uptown sits today. Uptown is in such a tremendous location and opportunity for the future. So I want to begin by asking Dr. McDonald, Brittany, to tell us exactly what are the boundaries, Brittany, of the Uptown area?
Sure. So a lot of times people think that Uptown is considered like Lower Hill or Uptown and the Hill District is like one and the same, but that's not the case. Really, Uptown sits basically west of West Oakland and east of the Central Business District of downtown. And it's situated between Fifth Avenue and the Boulevard of the Allies. So it's really a corridor between Oakland and downtown.
And it's going to become such a vital corridor as we continue forward with the transportation connection. Who are the Uptown partners today at Pittsburgh? I know the organization was founded in 2007, but who are the members today?
Well, right now I'm the executive director. I have my neighborhood advocate, Marlene Williams, who is such a huge help to me. And I have my consultant who used to be our program manager, Joseph Wingenfeld, and he's really helpful when it comes to the real estate and development piece of the things that we do at Uptown Partners. And we also have a really great board that consists of local business owners and local residents of Uptown and folks that work in our area. And they're really thrilled to work on this whole mission of, trying to make sure that we keep Uptown as a sustainable, welcoming, and mixed income neighborhood for all, and making sure that we still continue to advocate for equitable development.
And that pretty much leads into the Eco Innovation District zoning that covers Uptown. I know we decided we really couldn't take a deep dive into that because it is complex and it's exciting. And the Eco Innovation District, I believe, was the first zoning of this type in the city of Pittsburgh. Could you elaborate on that? Maybe you know more about that. I know Millvale has become one now, but Uptown was the first.
Yeah, we had the first city adopted plan, and it's a huge and very ambitious plan. And to try to implement that plan, we basically have an Uptown task force, and that task force is comprised of Uptown Partners and several other institutions in Uptown, including Duquesne University representatives, including some folks from Port Authority, and we actually have action teams. So we have 4 action teams. We have the community action team, which I chair, and we have the development, infrastructure, and mobility action teams. So we're all just trying to make sure that we can work together to try to actually implement everything that's in this Eco Innovation District plan.
So you have a lot of moving parts as you go forward. Tell us what 2 of the top 2 objectives are in this district. I'm going to touch maybe sustainability, but I want you to tell us what they are.
Well, sustainability for sure. We want to make sure that we continue on this track of getting folks to come in and develop and bring in innovation and things like that. But I think for Uptown Partners, at least, one of our main goals is just making sure that we're really pushing for equitable development here. And I think that that's important because we are in a prime space. Like, we know that BRT is coming. We have all of these awesome developments underway right now, including the UPMC Vision and Rehabilitation Center, the Duquesne School of Osteopathic Medicine, the Fifth and Dinwiddie project that will be coming along. Like there's so much going on, and we know that that will attract a lot of development. However, we want to make sure that the fabric of our neighborhood stays what we want it to be, which is a mixed income neighborhood, a very diverse and unique neighborhood. And I think that it's important that we really push for that equitable development whenever it comes along.
And that's why, in just getting to know you, that I think your background is ideally suited, for your role, because I saw that you have expertise and a background in social corporate responsibility. How do you think that will help you in your new role?
It definitely helps because I basically have the best of both worlds kind of when it comes to experience. So the last 11 years, I actually spent that working with PNC Bank. So I was in the corporate world heavy and, but I've
Hmm.
that other foot in the door with nonprofit organizations and community outreach, as I was always serving on the boards of different nonprofits around the city, always making sure that I'm engaging in corporate social responsibility, engaging in corporate volunteerism. So whenever I finished my dissertation research on corporate social responsibility and seeing how that engages employees, it really kind of allows you to see how people really do like to align with organizations that align with their values. So it's really important. And I think that being in this role right now with Uptown Partners of Pittsburgh, it lets me really take a lot of that information that I gathered through research and that experience that I had through that dissertation process and kind of apply it to my staff, my role at Uptown Partners, and just how I engage with the community of Uptown. And it makes it a lot easier.
Tell us a little bit about your new community initiative, your Wi-Fi program. I thought that was an exciting thing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited about it. So it finally finished. We've been working with MetaMesh Wireless Communities they actually did the install and they're taking care of the service for the next 5 years for us. But it was a really great project that came about between MetaMesh, myself, Dr. Mo Martins, and we just really wanted to do a pilot project to make sure that this can be successful and that folks will actually use it. And MetaMesh has confirmed that a lot of people have been using the public Wi-Fi. And then there's also a private network on Women's Space East, which is the women's homeless shelter for women and dependent children. So what I would like to do is, since this pilot project was so successful, to see if we can find another site or two in 2021 to make sure that we can. I would really like to see if we can get most of Uptown to have free public Wi-Fi.
Well, Brittany, I will tell people that you undertook this role just in July, and it seems to me that in the middle of COVID-19, you're already accomplishing quite a bit in your role and in the Uptown. So here's another question. Given the position of Uptown and its adjacency to the Oakland area, do you see tech companies migrating into Uptown? And what else do you see? What is your vision for the Uptown area over the next several years?
Oh, I think that is actually, I think that's an absolute possibility. I mean, I think that if we can focus on basically putting the awareness out there that, we do have a tech scene. While it might not be known to everyone, we actually do. I have a good buddy of mine who had a tech startup that was wildly successful here in the Strip District. And I think that if we can shed light on the incubators and the accelerating programs that we do have here in Pittsburgh, I think that we can get a lot of talent from different neighborhoods that you wouldn't normally tap into. So I think that we do have that going forward. And Uptown has a lot of space. We have a lot of different real estate options where people can come in and have a startup company or do something like that. And I think that that's one of the reasons that makes Uptown really unique, is that we have these unique spaces, these co-working spaces, and a lot of things like that where it does welcome innovation and tech.
Mhm. Yes, you have land. You know, that's the scarce commodity when you get into Oakland, you know, finding the land to be able to develop a project. And now not only do you have the land, but you will also have this wonderful BRT, a dedicated busway going through there. And it's so great that people will be able to live there and work there and really maybe not even need to get on a bus, right? Just be able to be there, you know, and integrate into the community, you know, and be so close to the downtown area. So what else would you want us to know about Uptown that we might not know?
I think that Uptown is very unique in that, like I mentioned previously, that we have like a mixed income, mixed age, very just diverse community of residents and business owners. And I love it because you have people who are students at Duquesne, students of the other local universities. We have people who have lived in Uptown for 35 years, you know.
Hmm?
We have here because they are healthcare professionals that might work at Mercy. We have, like I said, it's a very diverse community and we have a lot of character. I don't know like who may or may have not kind of driven through Uptown, but we have so much beautiful public art from mosaics and sculptures and things
I
like
have
that.
seen that. Mhm.
And it's definitely just a unique, really welcoming neighborhood with a lot of character. And I think that more people should take a little bit of time to just kind of go through the streets, because I think a lot of people think that, okay, when you come down Fifth from Oakland or Forbes, that's it. Really, we have a really cool neighborhood in between. And if you even go up through like around Mercy, like I said, the public art that's on display and things like that, we have a lot to offer. And also new developments with like real estate. We have a lot of real estate development for residential on Locust and Milton Berger and Fifth Avenue. And there's just a lot coming along. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity. And I think that the trajectory of where Uptown can go is really high.
What is the population of the residents versus the business? What is the mix of residents, kind of percentage versus businesses?
Are you asking me for like census data?
No, not really census data, but how much more business do you need there to support the residents? And how many residents maybe live in Uptown area today? Like how many people live there?
I'm not sure of the exact,
Yes.
but I mean, I don't feel like we have a really nice mix of small businesses, but I think that where we can welcome more businesses in the commercial space. We have a lot of like local pizza shops and mom and pop businesses and things like that. We also do have like, we have the co-working spaces and things like that, and a couple other businesses tucked below Fifth Avenue. But I think that we can welcome a little bit more commercial properties and commercial businesses that can support us a little bit more. Just
And vertically integrate it over while you build the community. It seems that you're in a wonderful place right now because there's still areas that you can rebuild and regenerate within your area. So with that, I want to thank you so much and stay with us because we'll continue to talk after I move over and talk to Georgia Petropoulos. Georgia, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Lynn. Very well. I'm looking out my window to beautiful snow and trees.
I know, it really is nice. It makes it difficult for a day or two, but it really is nice. You know, Georgia, when we think about Oakland, we think a lot about the academics immediately, academics, eds and meds, healthcare and museums. And I think that's at least what comes to my mind in the beginning. So I'm going to go down to basics. What is a BID and how does it work? Tell us about that.
Sure. So BID, the acronym stands for Business Improvement District, and the term changes in different cities all around the world. You can hear terms like neighborhood improvement districts, specialty improvement districts. The first BID actually was in Toronto, Canada. I believe it was either in the late 70s or early 80s. So it's a model it's a public-private model that's actually been around as a strategy to help keep commercial business districts competitive. And BIDs tend to focus in downtown areas. And what BIDs do is they bring private property owners and business owners together to invest in think of it as a collective pot of funds, and then those funds get reinvested into the business district. So it's actually a model similar to malls. So when a tenant rents a mall space, not only do they pay the space, they pay rent for their space, but they also pay a fee to manage the public spaces. So, you know, a holiday
Like
event,
a common
Santa
area
Claus.
maintenance or something.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. They're managing it. And in that case, that's one property owner who gets to decide and determine that. When you're talking about downtown centers, you're talking about hundreds of property owners. So the bid model is designed so that there is an agreement and there is a contribution towards a fund, and then it's agreed how we're going to invest those dollars. So pretty much any downtown center you've been in America is managed by a business improvement district. New York City has over 75 bids. Times Square is managed by a bid. So, and they traditionally were in what we call downtowns, right? The 20th century downtown, the corporate centers, employment centers. Well, the eds and meds now are, and the districts around universities and hospitals, especially research universities and hospitals, are now also becoming major downtown centers in their own right in cities such as here in Pittsburgh. And so it's no surprise that you would have a bid managing such an area of a dense population. So there are two bids in Pittsburgh. We manage the bid in Oakland, and the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership, our great partners in downtown, manage a bid in downtown. And so Philadelphia, again, has a series of bids, as are other bids across Pennsylvania in different towns.
I think that's an interesting comment you made, because perhaps many people don't realize that the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership is a bid. Because
they have a bid, yes.
Yeah, they actually do have a bid. So how do you fund it? Do people pay a fee when they move into the area, or is it a tax revenue? Is it a tax?
Yeah, we don't, absolutely. We call it an assessment.
Assessment.
Not a tax. No, but I mean, it functions like a tax because, first of all, property owners, because they will be responsible for making the payment, they have to agree that the bid exists. And actually, the bid has legislation that ultimately is approved by Pittsburgh City Council. And so bids are backed by legislation that property owners agree to. And then every 5 years, actually, the legislation is set to sunset. And what that does is it gives an opportunity for the property owner community and really the business owner community, because they too, through their rents, fund the service fee as well. So we really consider property and business owners to be our members, but it's property owners that will be responsible, because our bid is based on real estate value, the building real estate value. We calculate a millage rate in order to provide the assessment. But like I said, every 5 years they get to weigh in, and we have to go for what we call a renewal. We go through a public hearing process at City Council, and property owners weigh in on if they want to see the continuation. So I will speak, both bids of Pittsburgh actually have been unanimous, continue to be renewed. We were formed in 1999, so it's given you over 25 years that we've been in business.
So can you cite an example or two that we might see, when we're going through Oakland that has come out of the Oakland bid?
Yeah, sure. So bids started out focusing on services, and clean and safe will be a term that you'll hear a lot in the world of business improvement districts. So we have a program where we have 5 full-time individuals who are out every day keeping the sidewalks and the public spaces clean. They sweep them. They clear off all the amenities and furniture. And it's the public space. We don't do private property. So you'll see every day there'll be individuals up and down the streets keeping clean. We don't have a security force. We don't need it. We have wonderful overlapping security forces here in Pittsburgh and in Oakland. But some bids also will hire safety teams as well. It depends on what the need is. So those were the beginning services that business improvement districts. Flower baskets, sidewalk planters, banners, sort of like the visual elements.
Okay.
Bids also now are becoming a part of redesigning these public spaces. So both in the case of Oakland, we've installed public art. The Forbes Plaza is an example of a digital-based public art system. We're now starting to install seating areas. We just recently on Forbes Avenue painted some poles, some new colors. We added benches, we added cafe seating. We have a new receptacle model for Oakland. And we participate in redesigns of these spaces as well. And we're looking to create more and more open spaces and not only be the entity that organizes its design, but even raises the funds to do the implementation as well.
Let me refer to another acronym, the PID, which is the Pittsburgh Innovation District. I think most of us know what that is today. And they recently in November announced that there's $1.9 billion of active and planned investment within the PID, within the Pittsburgh Innovation District. How does that impact the bid? What is your relationship? How is that symbiotic?
Yeah, it's my colleague Sean Luther. He runs a great organization, and completely working in partnership, and we feed off each other and support each other because each of us are sort of looking at the district and working on the district sort of from a different approach. Innovation districts are a new model, very new model in the United States, and there are a handful already that are thriving and functioning as ours is here in Pittsburgh. And again, they are in the areas where you have the large research engine universities. In our case, we also have the hospital system. And so I like to think of innovation districts as, well, if our universities are, as they continue to be successful in producing the future Google and Philips of the world, we don't want them leaving the city, and we definitely don't want them on the outskirts of some space and parklet that is not near the urban center or near where people live and near job centers. We'd like them to be here, right near the universities. And by the way, the model also says that corporations and companies also want to be near the research facilities as well. They want to be in the heart of where the talent is being produced. And so it's really no surprise that the center of an innovation district of Pittsburgh will come from where the university center for the university world of Pittsburgh is. So from there, so what they're doing is making sure that important piece of the identity of Pittsburgh is promoted, is sold, and they're attracting attention and they're attracting companies, whether it's startups who are at the beginning stages of a company point, or companies that are ready to move to Pittsburgh or want to be in Pittsburgh, and we want them here in the city center. We want them here in Oakland. And so that's a big element, but they also need these companies, these employees, these residents, they also need a successful, thriving, vibrant center. So the other thing I didn't mention is the word bid is kind of I bet you very soon we're going to see more and more organizations, including my own, not using the term bid because it's really a legal term. Now we call ourselves place management organizations. So where we come in is we're saying, great, you continue to help us, expand the population, grow the district, attract these new jobs in order to continue to succeed as a job center. And we want to help by making sure we're managing this place for all the people that are using the community.
And so it's an important function of yours also to help provide the services that are needed, the restaurants and everything that is needed by the daily population in
absolutely the amenities area. Absolutely. People need to feel it's safe. They need to feel it's clean. They need to feel it has the kind of amenities that would attract them to want to, first of all, invest their business. Secondly, come and invest their dollars as customers. And one of the things that Sean and I talk a lot about is Oakland right now is not that 18-hour district we'd love it to see. We know we're under a unique year with COVID is sort of turning the whole world of restaurant and retail upside down. But however, the concept of 18 hours is that you have services that respond to different populations at different times of the day. So and that is something that takes strategy. That is something that takes planning and partnerships for sure.
One could also see you moving to a 24-hour in the future, a 24-hour city. And I've lived in 24-hour cities. And I think with everything that's going on in Oakland, they could actually be moving in that direction as well. So what is our key takeaway this morning, Georgia? I think you've really done a great job in explaining, what it is. I'd like to know what your day is as well. Like, what is your day when you go into the office? Because you have so much going on. What is it like for you?
First of all, it's really fun. I have a lot of fun with what I do, and I enjoy every project. I mean, there's, we're talking about a city center. We're talking about a public space. So the public world of a city center. So there's going to be multiple projects that I'm working on. It's going to be multiple partnerships that we're managing and working with, many people that I'm talking to. And I like to think that about maybe 75% of what I do is strategy. And then the remaining 25% is implementing it. And that strategy, by the way, is connecting, is making sure that we bring the right people to the table. We have the conversations that we need to do. We plan, we implement, we listen. And it's really great. I love to see things come to fruition, but I also enjoy the creation of new ideas, and I enjoy bringing the people together to get excited and to make things happen. I mean, it's really a good time. And even in the past, even in March, when the whole everything changed and no one knew what to expect, it was a momentary lapse where I think it was a bit of a shock, for at least for me, for a couple weeks. Like, oh no, what's the future of a commercial district in this pandemic? But I have to tell you, all of a sudden, people connected. People wanted to connect more so than before. Ideas were being exchanged. Concepts that might have taken months to get business property owners, government agencies, whoever to consider, took minutes. I mean, things moved so rapidly, and people were willing to try, and people were willing to experiment, which was really wonderful. Terrific. So, I try to see the silver lining, but I really truly enjoy what I do. And I think that the best part really are the people.
I think what I've learned from you is that you would like to see Oakland area as more than just going to work or going to school, but also a destination place in the future to go to have dinner and to do different things socially, as well as from a work and student and research perspective.
Right. I mean, rightfully so. We need to continue to tout. Absolutely, we are a student center. They're an incredible, important part of our population, incredible part of the culture, really, of Pittsburgh and the whole region, not just Oakland. But as I said, we have very diverse audiences. We have residents, we have employees, we have visitors who come to hospitals, visitors who come to museums. And we're actually very, very international as well. We have huge pockets of international populations that also are in Oakland. And yes, that is the message I think that we're going to be focusing on sending is, well, we are a global center. And as being a global center, there's really many populations, and there should be many opportunities for those populations as well.
Georgia, thank you. I think at this point, we'll transition over to the Q&A. Jamie, do you have questions?
No questions yet, Lynn, if you want to continue.
Then I will continue. I have more questions. So I have questions for both of you. And I'll start with Dr. McDonald. How can Uptown and Oakland both work together to benefit from their adjacencies?
That seeing where we can partner when it comes to, like you mentioned earlier, that innovation piece with like the tech side. I think that could be great, because we have Duquesne, but Oakland has CMU, Oakland has Pitt, Oakland has like Carlo, so there's a lot of universities and a lot of student body. And I think that we can work together in that area to see what we can do when it comes to just really trying to spread that awareness of technology and innovation in our area.
Georgia?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, definitely sharing in terms of the growth of the technology sector and the office marketplace that obviously Oakland is attracting no doubt needs to be able to spread out. And as we grow, there's going to be a need to find space and a need to find locale. So that would be great. And of course, even the residential community, how can we the other piece of this is retail. I know definitely the corridor, when 5th and Forbes are going to continue through to downtown, you have a little bit more of a mixed residential and commercial corridor, but there should also be a continuation of retail opportunities, and it's going to be different. The flavor of retail in every community is going to be different. But I'd also like to see a growth of entrepreneurship from the backyard. So if you live in Uptown or if you live in Oakland and you're an entrepreneur or you're considering opening a business, there should be opportunities for you to have your place right there in the same neighborhood that you live. So that could be a great way to see a connection between both neighborhoods, because it would be wonderful to continue to attract residents to live in our neighborhoods, but also be able to work in our neighborhoods, whether they work in one of the major employment centers that's already there, or they start their own businesses. And encouraging local entrepreneurship is a great opportunity for us.
So I see it that both of you will be working together very much over the next few years. We have a question that came in to you, Georgia, and it was, tell us how you managed to close Oakland Avenue and what that process was, the impact.
Right. First of all, I have to give a lot of credit to Director Karina Ricks. She's the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure at the City of Pittsburgh. When I put the idea out to her and other city representatives, immediately she organized a task force, and immediately she organized a steering committee, of which I participated on, but other stakeholders around the city, to talk about how we could make this happen, how we can begin to think about turning streets over so for the use of pedestrians. But on top of that, I had to work with many partners, which was wonderful, including the most important is the PLCB, because we chose a street, first of all, that was flat. We chose a street that was not a major emergency traffic zone for our emergency medical services and ambulances. So that's why we chose Oakland Avenue, that was south of Forbes Avenue. We also wanted to make sure there was retail facing that street, active retail, including restaurants, so that we can encourage outdoor seating. And in the case of that portion of Oakland Avenue, 2 of the restaurants also had liquor licenses. So at that time in March, trying to figure out, under the current Pennsylvania liquor laws, how do you serve alcohol for a long period of time, more than just a day or a week event, on the street? So it took a little bit, figuring this out. Multiple agencies came together, and then eventually, as I said, DOMI put the necessary pieces in place, fast-tracked our approval, and started the process. And we actually are the ones who said we want to close off. And we also worked, the University of Pittsburgh's architect, Kennard Grigsby, donated his time and services to do the design layout. He worked with me to do the layout and plan for it. We brought Rycon Construction came in, donated services. I mean, there were about 12 agency partners, the parking authority. Many people had to come together to figure that one out. It doesn't seem like it because it's just this short street, right? But it is a public street in a major downtown center that
Right.
we had to just figure out all the overlays to make it happen.
Mhm.
And I see a question coming through: if Oakland Avenue open up after Corona? That's a great question. Post Corona, well, I'll tell you, actually, many people like the street being given back over to, first of all, pedestrians to walk through and traverse, having wider sidewalk space, having more cafe tables and seating area. The seating area was not just for the 2 restaurants, Stacked and Fuel, but we also had public seating area too for people to sit on. So I think what we're going to push for is a continuation of having portion of the street dedicated for public seating and for pedestrians, and potentially open up the traffic lane, which right now is blocked off as an emergency lane. So that is something that we're working with the city to figure out how we can continue to keep that street as well as move traffic through.
Mhm. Well, there was one other question in closing that I saw, and that I'll direct that to Dr. McDonald. What is your dream project? What is your dream for the Uptown area?
Well, I actually can tie this into one of the other questions that I see in the chat about the properties that folks sit on. It would be a dream of mine for Uptown to be able to acquire said properties so that we can, have that control on how they're developed and what goes on in our neighborhood. Like right now, Uptown Partners we don't buy any real estate. We don't develop any real estate. We encourage responsible and equitable development in our area. However, I would love it if we were able to acquire funding so that we can acquire some of these properties that have been sat on for years and years and years that unfortunately, you know, are blighted or abandoned and things like that. But what I can say that is kind of looking up is that Uptown Partners is working through several conservatorships where we are trying to work with the courts and the city to take control of some of these properties that have been abandoned in Uptown. And so far it's looking pretty good. And if it works for these 2 properties that we're working on right now, I think that we can continue that process. But I definitely would love it if we were in a space where we can acquire these properties and not have to be at the mercy of the speculators and folks who came in and bought property years and years ago and have done nothing to sustain them or stabilize them, you know, and add to the beauty of our neighborhood.
I think that's a lofty goal and an exciting one to pursue. And I'm glad you had the opportunity to tell everybody that today, because you might find some people in our audience that are very supportive of what you've had to say. And I think we need to close and transition over to our breakout rooms. I just want to say that both of you are drivers of just such exciting areas within the Pittsburgh region. And I wish you the best. And let's come back again next year and talk about what you've done since today. So thank you. I'll turn it back over to Jamie, Dusty.
Yep.
Thank you, Lynn.
Awesome. I will. Yes, thank you both. We can continue this discussion in our breakout rooms. I will send you all now. There seems to be a representative from WLI in each room, so they can keep the conversation going. So enjoy.
Well, thank you all. This was a wonderful, wonderful program. I really can't thank Georgia and Brittany enough for all the time they spent preparing and being part of this important program. And Lynn did an amazing job, as I knew she would, because she is so interested in real estate and in this area. So I really want to thank everybody for being part of our WLI today. And we're going to be back. This is our last program for December. We are going to be back in January and in February. We're working on some really special programs. One of them is about the McKinsey report and how it's affecting women. So we hope to have that in February. And I really thank you all for being part of this today and wish you a wonderful holiday season and be safe.
Thanks, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Great job. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.